and people are living longer and healthier lives. We've added age groups over the last several years. Originally it was 90 plus and, everyone 90 and over competed. And then, then we've added a 95 plus. And now we have an 101-year-old golfer, 18-hole golfer golfing this year. So,
oh my goodness,
we have a 101-year-old person competing in the St. Louis Senior Olympics, and is the oldest person to register this year. And in theory, a 49-year-old person could do it because as long as you turn 50 by December 31st of 2022, you're eligible to compete.
Life's Third Act is a podcast dedicated to helping you get the most out of your retirement. Sponsored by TuckerAllen, attorney CPA Joe Cordell features guests each week to discuss prominent topics for those over 55. Welcome to another episode of Life's Third Act. I'm Jill Enders, flying solo today. Joe Cordell has the day off, and we are revisiting one of our most favorite events in the St. Louis area, St. Louis Senior Olympics. And here with us, one of our most favorite guests, Phil Ruben, who is the development manager for the Jewish Community Center. Phil, it's so good to see you, and to see you this year with the event when it's really a return to normal.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me back. It's so great to be back. I missed Mr. Cordell, but to understand the time off. I'm so excited to be back to promote the St. Louis Senior Olympics. Again, our return to Memorial Day weekend has been an annual tradition for over 40 years.
Right.
But unfortunately, the events of March of 2020, the games were originally postponed and then ultimately canceled. However, in 2020 or early 2021, we had to make a decision of when the games would be in 2021. And we made the executive decision to move them to Labor Day because, there were many unknowns. We thought the more time, the better.
Well, there was so much uncertainty because I remember when you were on, there was a rise in cases and there was very much a concern about, is it safe to hold the event?
Right. We had many protocols in place, but, last year, Labor Day, it was so nice to see normal faces. People were so excited to have the games back. Although it was a different weekend, to see those friends, that camaraderie, that competition. People needed it. They were locked up for several months in their homes, not exercising, not living healthy lives. But we gave them that avenue to do something that everyone loves, the St. Louis Senior Olympics. And now they get to do it sooner because after Labor Day, we didn't even have to wait a year. We only had to wait 9 months. We have returned this year of 2022 to Memorial Day weekend and couldn't be happier.
I can imagine the response you are getting from the athletes. I mean, what are you hearing from them?
Thank you. Thanks for continuing this important program in our community. I can continue training for my goal of breaking records at the St. Louis Senior Olympics. I'm in a new age group, so now I'm the young one. So I aged up from the 60 to 64s to the 65 to 69. So I'm going to smoke those old people in my age group.
I love it.
So they're happy that it's back to Memorial Day weekend because they kind of have a calendar, as the world and the community is those in-person events are coming back, those races. Think back, in early 2020 or middle 2020, everything was canceled. Everything was virtual. And now that everything or most everything has kind of come back, they're getting in that routine. They know Memorial Day weekend is Senior Olympics. They know the following weekend is this other race. They know this other weekend is their family vacation. So we had some of those issues last year because we broke their routine. We kind of snuck in on Labor Day weekend when we'd never been there before.
Right.
But ultimately they were happy because they missed it so much and happy to have it back.
Now, when was the decision made this year that, yes, we are going to have it back, over Memorial Day weekend as we always have?
It was a group effort, leadership at the J, the lay leadership, the volunteer committee members. We even polled the athletes in our post-game survey, and overwhelmingly, they wanted it to return to Memorial Day weekend. Again, it's that routine of, this is when we are, scheduled to be. And, and working in partnership with other senior games organizations, the state games, the national games. It kind of fits in that schedule. We use some outside venues, and so we have to adhere to their school schedules, for example, at the track and field,
Right.
Golf courses, things of that nature. So this is kind of our weekend, and where it works well for our agency, for the J, and the athletes and the volunteers.
And you certainly have had a lot of challenges with this event over the last 2 years. I mean, in 2020, it was held virtually, which it's not the same.
No. So, as in 2020, people missed it. And, everyone was throwing virtual events at the window. And, to be honest, there's many great things about the St. Louis Senior Olympics, but one of the greatest is that competition and that camaraderie of being together, competing against, similar athletes within the same age group. Those friends that you have, being in person, you play them against them each year in bocce ball. The partner you team up with in pickleball. For the St. Louis Senior Olympics. You couldn't do that virtually.
No.
While you could post the picture and the video, and people, our social media interaction, our rates were through the roof. It gave them a taste, a little bit taste in their mouth, but it's not the real thing.
No.
And last year was really the real deal, and just the thank yous and the safe hugs, the safe fist bumps, being careful, and we had protocols in place to keep a safe atmosphere.
Sure. Because we were definitely not out of the woods.
We were not. And, even this year we were going to be mindful. But, it's pretty much a normal situation this year. There are events that happened that did not happen in 2021 because other, groups we've partnered with are slower to come back. But this year in 2022, I can happily share with the network that every single event is being offered and every single event is happening. So our tap dancers are back opening the games. We've actually opened that up to other dance groups. So it's not just tap dance. The bridge game is back. They were not competing in 2021. So, we have many of the events back that took the year off, or really 2 years off.
Sure.
As well as, as people are more comfortable, they're signing up again and they're coming back and they're vaccinated. They feel safe. It's, the uncertainty is kind of dissipated a bit and the unknown. So I'm excited to have a bursting campus over Memorial Day weekend here in a couple weeks.
And I think you certainly will. So are you at full capacity?
We're not at full capacity, but, as, all programs throughout the community get back to those 2019 numbers, we are well on our path back. So I'm happy to share that we're, above the 2021 numbers, but, we are still on all our programs as people have reevaluated their desires and their, disposable income and their choices.
Sure.
We are on a good path back, and we've made some changes to accommodate those, and many people are coming back, and we've made some other changes to increase the community, increase the presence of the games at our center. We've brought darts that used to be on Blueberry Hill in the Loop to our center. We brought water volleyball that used to be at a senior living center to our indoor pool this year.
I love it.
So we've brought the community in, and so there's just going to be much more of a big hub, a hub of happiness and of athletes over Memorial Day weekend, where while there still was that in years past, we were more spread out throughout the community, but. Kudos to my colleague Stephanie, who's coordinating the games this year, to bring that community back to the J, where this program started.
So how many athletes are signed up? Do you know offhand?
We're near 700 athletes.
And what is it typically in 2019?
Prior to that was, we were shooting 4 digits. We were at 1,000 people. Again, numbers are coming in, still as we're nearing the end of registration, but all programs throughout the community have, are recovering as we continue to do so.
Well, you're pretty darn close.
Yeah, we're getting close. We are, happy with where we're at, and, you forecasted pretty darn close to what we thought, and, we have a good sense on what our members at the J are feeling, what our other program participants are sensing through our cultural arts programs, through other adult activities. And this is on trend with where we are at. And, even our membership at the J is, we just kind of got a little burst as, it's getting hotter outside. Our pools are opening up. It's, those in-home gyms, Peloton is crashing quickly.
Yes, I saw that.
These in-person, we took a 2-year intermission and it's time for this, this is life's third act. This is, Senior Olympics second act.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, you've talked about some of the types of competitions, pickleball. But what are some of the other ones that are really popular?
Pickleball is through the roof. I mean, pickleball is bursting in the St. Louis community. I mean, pickleball venues are popping up all over town. And
I know we've talked about
Sure,
that.
yeah.
What exactly is pickleball? I refresh my memory.
So pickleball is a combination of badminton, table tennis, and tennis that's played on very close to a badminton court. It can also be played outdoors or indoors in a gymnasium. Our event is indoors this year. That's something else that was brought back to the J last year. We tried to do many events outside, and this year we're doing things back inside again since we are able. But it's a paddle game with a wiffle ball. That's an oversized table tennis paddle, and it's just really popular within the senior community because it's those retired racquetball players, those retired tennis players, because it's a little less movement, a little easier on the knees, and it's not so much strength and agility as more strategy on placement. So it's very popular, and I'm happy to share, and remiss if I didn't, was that the J was one of the first community centers in St. Louis to hold indoor tournaments.
Is that right?
Yeah, so we are, offer pickleball at the J many times a week for our members. So, but pickleball is very popular in the Senior Olympics. We also, one of the new things that we did this year was we offered singles. So doubles is much more popular.
With pickleball. Okay.
In the community, especially within the seniors. But there was a strong demand to offer singles this year. And so singles is also through. So our pickleball is actually this coming weekend because of the popularity of it, as well as a very large national tournament coming to St. Louis of a Memorial Day weekend, which is, things that, just happen. But more so, when pickleball people, they're committed to that throughout the, you don't know when your next match is going to be. It's a longer commitment.
Right.
Senior Olympians love to sign up for every single event, as many as possible. So when they're stuck in pickleball, they can't go to bocce, they can't go to shuffleboard, they can't go to darts, they can't play golf. So having pickleball on a separate weekend at different times, it takes away those conflicts.
Oh, that makes
from
sense.
them competing in other events.
So they really sign up for multiple events.
Senior Olympics is, we encourage, we want people to be healthy. The point of Senior Olympics is a healthy life-affirming endeavor to promote, healthy aging, exercise, health and wellness. And, we don't want them to just come and throw the shot put 3 times and be done with it. Try something new. Try the javelin. It's a similar skill set. Try the discus. You played horseshoes at your family reunion a couple years ago. We have that event too. Mm-hmm. Meet new people. Try new things. This is, it's a healthy competition. It's for fun. It's more, a competition against yourself to see if you can beat your score and your times from the years prior. It's a time to meet people and share with them that, the good thing about Senior Olympics is you compete with your peers. You compete against your peers. They're 5-year age groups and gender specific, so 50 to 54 on up. And people are living longer and healthier lives. So we've added age groups over the last several years. Originally it was 90 plus and, everyone 90 and over competed. And then, then we've added a 95 plus. And now we have an 101-year-old golfer, 18-hole golfer golfing this year. So
oh my goodness.
We have a 101-year-old person competing in the St. Louis Senior Olympics and is the oldest person to register this year. And, in theory, a 49-year-old person could do it because as long as you turn 50 by December 31st of 2022, you're eligible to compete.
Now, is this the oldest athlete you've ever had, or have you had an older?
I cannot, since I've been involved, which has been since I've been at the J, I've been employed and worked with the Senior Olympics since 2004, but more intimate as, serving as director for a dozen, or 10 years. I recall a 102-year-old washer toss player from a couple of years ago. So I'm aware of a couple times we've hit north of the century mark. But this is this is certainly worth celebrating.
I was going to ask you brought up washers. That's, a very popular St. Louis game, especially where I came from, North County. I mean, washers, big time popular.
Sure.
So a lot of seniors sign up for that one.
Yeah, so those, I like to divide the Senior Olympics into to some different categories, and those are like the picnic games, the bar games. We got washer toss, cornhole, shuffleboard, horseshoes, bocce ball. So you see a lot of people doing, a couple of those, a combination of, and, they'll compete with the same people in doubles. So they'll have a doubles partner that shares, that they're in shuffleboard and washers with, and, they bounce around from event to event and try to do as many as possible. So, we see a lot of, people that do a lot of those events. We have the field day events, throwing softballs as far as you can, kicking a soccer ball, throwing a frisbee through accuracy targets, soccer kicks. There's, part of those tournament events are badminton and table tennis, racquetball. We have over 100 people that do swimming events at our Maryland Fox building in Chesterfield. I mentioned water volleyball was back at the J. We brought that event to the J. So, there's 7 teams of 10 seniors, mostly represented residents of senior living communities that have indoor pools, and they practice year-round to compete in the St. Louis Senior Olympics against other centers. So it's just a really exciting time to be around.
Now, did you mention bridge? You mean the card game?
Yeah, so there's Duplicate Bridge. We partner with the St. Louis Bridge Center and run a game there, and we've been doing that for, I want to say 2015, 2016 is when we started it probably. And they took some years off in 2020 and 21, unfortunately.
Right.
But we're back in 2022. And, that's mental exercise, right? So it's not just physical exercise with the Senior Olympics. It's mental as well. Along those lines, we have an art competition. So
an art competition with St. Louis Senior Olympics. Who knew?
Right. So we tie that to the St. Louis Senior Olympics as well, because, it's not an intimidating event. I, push everyone to throw a softball, throw a washer toss, throw a washer, see what you can do, right?
Right.
But the art competition is something that, if they're really reluctant to do some sort of physical activity, but they are, doing these beautiful art pieces, that are on display at their centers, and, they're on now display at the J throughout the Senior Olympics weekend. I visited with a partner of the J a couple of weeks ago, and they have many of their residents competing in the Senior Olympics, and an artist who is competing is legally blind and did this just beautiful permanent marker artwork that's on display at their center. She's entering it in the St. Louis Senior Olympics. So
that's so amazing.
So, we're inclusive. There's something for everyone. And
right.
You really get to show off to the broader community. So not just the Senior Olympics, but it's open to the J as well.
Yes, yes. And what is the competition like between the athletes? I mean, a lot of trash talk, fun going on?
It's friendly. There's predominantly friendly competition. Through the years, I love telling this story. I've literally seen people holding hands crossing the finish line at the track and field. You're cheering for someone to throw the softball farther than you. The athletes are volunteering for each other to measure their softball throws. People will meet each other in competition on singles shuffleboard and be like, hey, you want to do doubles together later? I don't have a partner, or my partner's sick. Do you want to do shuffleboard together?
Right.
So then they'll join up for partners later in the day. It's a healthy competition. Again, it's friendly because, they see each other once a year at these games, and it's good catch up. It's good.
Oh, sure.
Good friendly camaraderie, and in our survey, the words that you see constantly are the competition and camaraderie is really what people love about it.
And you don't necessarily have to be this, really skilled athlete, like someone that had, participated in sports when they were in high school. You don't have to be that. You
do not. So a lot of our senior female athletes will share stories that they were not able to compete in athletics when they were younger. If just due to the laws or their schools that they attended, there were no female athletics.
Right.
So this is their time to shine. They're using this to kind of, say, shove it down your face. We can do it too.
We can do it. Yeah.
So, there's those people. There's the non-athletic competition, where you can do shuffleboard. We've had, people in wheelchairs compete in events as well.
That's great.
There's been stories of cancer survivors who use the Senior Olympics for their motivation to get through their cancer journeys. I love to share this story of a young lady who told her doctor, I need to throw the javelin at the St. Louis Senior Olympics. And she was going through her journey and going through her treatments.
Right.
And, she made it to the Senior Olympics, and, our javelin area was down a steep hill, and she couldn't make it down. So our volunteers brought the javelin to her, and damn well she threw the javelin at the St. Louis Senior Olympics.
That is so touching.
Yeah. So
there is a lot of support.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of support. And, as, we've been around for, in theory, this should be our 43rd year. We skipped one in 2020, unfortunately. Unfortunately, there's no longer anyone with us who's done every single one. But there's people who have done many. And those people who have done many now have children who are 50 and older. And so now father, son.
The next generation of St. Louis Senior Olympics.
Multi-generation people that do it. Those whose parents were involved years ago who have not been with us for some time. But, now they're competing just to kind of give tribute to their loved ones.
Yeah, that is really wonderful. Now, would you say, is it more men signed up or more women, or is it pretty much even?
It's probably a little bit more men than women, I would say. In terms of the age demographics, the most popular is 65 to 69. And it's kind of a pyramid. So, it's a little more heavy on the male side. But in terms of the age demographic within each criteria, the pattern's the same. It pyramids at 65 to 69 and, increases up until then and decreases down the other side of that.
Now, did you say that most of the competitions are gender specific, like, bocce ball for men, bocce ball for women, or do they ever do co-ed?
The only co-eds, we have open doubles. So we have there's a couple co-ed options. So single events is gender, and then within your age group. Sometimes with participation numbers, we may combine age groups, but you will always be awarded within your 5-year age group. When partner events happen, it's the age group you compete is with your younger partner. So whoever's the younger, if you're with that 100-year-old golfer and a 50-year-old woman shuffleboard player, you're going to be the 50 to 54 age group. So you're always going to play in the younger group.
Right.
But the co-ed ones there's mixed doubles, so when that means male and female are together, and that has to be. We have an open doubles competition, and that's for a few events, horseshoes, shuffleboard, bowling. When you have an open doubles competition, it can be any combination of any gender. So it could be a male and female, 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 male, male, what have you, but they'll all be competing together within that age group. So open doubles with the younger partner determining the age groups.
And Phil, I want to bring this up. So often with seniors, they lose their spouse and, widowers. Mm-hmm. And this seems like this would be a great event for them to come out, make new friends. Because so often when that happens, what do we see? We see people isolating, which isn't healthy physically or mentally.
Right.
Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, bring their loved ones. Those who have, it's interesting. Those that I know have lost their loved ones or just were never with anyone that I knew of will bring their newfound loved one to the Senior Olympics to promote the event. To they'll watch them or they'll compete together. I'm bringing my girlfriend. I'm bringing my boyfriend, and it's really a part about the together and the camaraderie. And a lot of it has to do with, how many times did your grandparents go to your youth baseball game, go to your gymnastics meet, to support you in your athletic journey. Now we're asking for the reversal. Bring your grandkids to cheer you on. And it's really inspiring to see that at, the track and field, the signs they make, the bells of these little kids. Is that right? These little kids make for their grandma and for their grandpa. And it's really cool, it's just kind of a role reversal to see the family spirit and the family bonding around these games.
Right. I love that. Now, you still need volunteers. How many volunteers does it typically take to put on this event?
We would take as many volunteers as possible. So, no matter the number of athletes, we still need hundreds of volunteers. So, I'd like to say over 200, 300 would be great. The event, well, we have, I'm staff at the J. My colleague Stephanie is staff at the J. There are several staff that are involved, and I'd be remiss not to thank them because they have as much a part of it as any of us do. But every single event has a volunteer event director. So that's 90 events that we have. So there's 90 event directors. So, and within under them, there's volunteers that measure the throws, that, pick up the, the discus, that bring them back to the people, that time at swimming. So we have all these, volunteers. We have administrative volunteers passing out those goodie bags, the shirts, scorekeepers. So it takes hundreds of volunteers. And even with those hundreds, there's always
room for more.
We'll find some work to do.
Well, they're equally as important to the event,
right,
I would say, as the athletes are, because...
And we even have volunteers in the office, over the last several weeks, administrative duties, sending out confirmation letters, filing, getting the boxes ready for our event directors with the rules, the supplies, things of that nature.
So if anyone does want to volunteer, just contact the Jewish Community Center?
Yeah, there's a volunteer link on our website, stlouisseniorolympics.org, St. Louis, Louis, senior, SENIOR, Olympics, OLYMPICS.org.
And they don't have to commit to the full weekend if they can't.
No, there's, small shifts available. So if you have a couple hours on Monday or a couple hours, we will take you. You will be busy. And, we've had athletes who started as volunteers that, just was like, let me check this out. Mm-hmm. And the volunteers then they regret. I'm like, man, I should have done it. Or they're not of age yet and they volunteer for a few years and then they get involved.
Okay. And what do the athletes win? A trophy?
So we give medals.
Medals?
Medals for first, second, third, and then ribbons for fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Okay. I bet they treasure them.
I've been, on a few, newscasts and been lucky enough to have been interviewed for this great program before. And, one of my friends that's a volunteer event director as well as an athlete, they have these rooms and these trophy boxes, these shadow boxes, just boasting with their, medals that they've won through the years.
Oh, and they're proud, I'm sure.
It's just like they're, in T-ball again and getting that participation trophy. And, look, Mommy, I won a trophy. And they just love because, in the end, you think about it, they're living healthy lives. They're exercising year-round to compete and, to do well against those peers. Is it, do they win money? No. Does it, it's more of, internal, celebratory,
right. Right.
I did this, I'm proud. And, they love it. And, there's been people who have just been so passionate about the Senior Olympics and, when they pass, they ask to be, get shirts with them as they go down under,
right.
The people are just very, very passionate about this program. It's just, a long-standing tradition in our community. This should be our 43rd year, but we're celebrating our 42nd set of games. One of our good friends at the J was one of the original co-chairs and loves to tell the story of, in 1980, the J was celebrating our 100th anniversary as an organization. And what should we do? And these games movements were popping up here and there, and they're like, let's throw our hat at 20 events, see what sticks, and that's it. And, they got a couple hundred people to show up for 20 events, and they're having a wrap-up meeting, and they were sharing that, the letters started pouring in. When are you doing it again? My brother wants to compete. I need to do better. Add this event. Add that event. I need to train more. And, this was intended to be a one-time event. And
it was so well received.
Incredibly well received. And, obviously it's, I've heard stories, our cycling race is at a state park in Alton, Illinois. Years ago, it was in a parking lot in loops, So, obviously we've upgraded our
Was it really? Goodness.
1980. So,
yeah.
Things have changed. But, it's a very well-organized, competitive event for people that want to, strive to succeed in fun and athletic competitions.
Now, do any of the athletes see each other other times of the year, or is this the one time?
Many of them, it's their one time because, they come from, at most, at times we've had 170 zip codes represented within the St. Louis Senior Olympics. So it's mostly St. Louis, St. Charles counties, the Illinois, other side of the river in Illinois. But people, we have a dozen states. So people who have, grew up in St. Louis and lived here at some time have now retired to Florida. But they come back.
I was going to ask you, do you ever have people?
Yeah, so they come back to the St. Louis for the St. Louis Senior Olympics every year. Or, since we are a holiday weekend, people from outside the state are traveling to visit family for a high school graduation, hey, there's a cool event going on. I need to get some master's points for track and field. I'm going to run in your meet. So we've had people that way as well.
Really? Okay. So, wow, what an amazing event. Now, do your athletes have to be fully vaccinated to compete or?
No, they do not.
They don't. Okay. No. Okay. Now, you mentioned the tap dancers, which you've talked about before,
Sure.
which I think is so cool. But you have other type of dance that...
Yeah, so this year we opened it up to other forms of dance. And I know there's a couple doing ballroom dancing. There's a few other acts. So
I love
this
it.
is our first time that beyond the tappers, we're going to have some other mediums of dance as well. So we're excited to share that.
And that'll be during opening ceremonies?
So that's, yeah, and the other thing is the entire community, please come on Thursday, May 26th. So many of our sponsors are present with booths from 1 to 4 at the J in Creve Coeur. And then we'll have a short opening ceremonies with a ceremonial torch lighting, some commencement speeches, and then you guys the entire community is welcome to watch the dance exhibition with lovely acts of various forms of dance.
Great. So really for the J, this is kind of like your official kickoff or unofficial kickoff to summer, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. So, the J is a busting place in the summer. We have day camps through the roof. Our pools are at capacity. This is kind of the kickoff when, summer kind of starts because, day camps and
right.
other programs start right after Memorial Day.
Now, have you ever had any of your participants say, Memorial Day weekend, a lot of times we can't make it because of family events. Yep. So has the J ever considered moving it?
Yeah, so just in that same regards that you asked a question earlier is Labor Day versus Memorial Day. So we also asked that on our survey, and it's impossible to please everyone. If I would, I would love to.
Sure.
I would love to do that. But our restrictions are that we're at the mercy of other venues as well. So we can't
right.
do track and field when school is in session because they have their own track track athletes. Our pool needs to be opened. For our swim competition. So we have to look at that timing as well. Staff resources, when are we busy? And, many people are retired, but many are not. So if we did it on a non-holiday weekend, if we did it on a Friday, well, the younger 50-year-olds, sign up when they're potentially still in the workforce. So the holiday weekend gives us a little more flexibility with, off days for the majority of people to compete. As well as the ability to use outside venues, adhering to their schedules.
And, you forgot, Phil, you don't want to do it in mid-July because we all know the St. Louis heat and humidity everybody would be melting. That would be a very bad time.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And so, the spring is a good weather. I can never control the weather, but, it's been hot during Senior Olympics, so, and it's also been cool and rainy. But
last year over Memorial Day weekend, I remember it was really chilly. It was raining. My daughter was so upset because the pool was opening that day at the Saturday before Memorial, and the pool didn't open because it was just too chilly.
Yeah, I remember thinking and speaking with some colleagues, I'm like, Senior Olympics would have been great to have this weekend because, it was cool and no one would, there would be no, heat exhaustion.
Right.
But this is, people just have a habit. People are nature of habits. And this is our weekend. And, I think it's, it's the best option we have with all the tangibles we have to work through.
Right. Well, I'm so happy that St. Louis Senior Olympics is, a return to normal this year.
Yeah, thank you.
So you'll have to come back and tell us how everything went. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yes, thank you so much.
So thank you again for joining us. Well, that does it for us. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Life's Third Act. Take care. You've been listening to Life's Third Act, a podcast for thriving in retirement, sponsored by TuckerAllen, your estate and elder law advisors. Each week, we discuss topics and answer questions to help you better plan for your future. For more information, visit TuckerAllen.com. Subscribe and listen again next week for another edition of Life's Third Act. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.